All right, good afternoon. This is Don Neder. I am coming to you this afternoon from my beautiful backyard. Um, I'm an instructor for the Wim Hof method, and this video today isn't about the Wim Hof method, though I do certainly touch on it. It's about a book that I'm reading right now that I feel strong enough about that I'm not going to give a review of the book, but I'm definitely making a recommendation, really a time-sensitive recommendation, as we all in our own way deal with COVID-19 and how it's affecting our lives. The book is by Scott Carney, and it's called The Wedge. Uh, Many of you may be familiar with Scott from his first book regarding where I came to know Scott in his books was around the Wim Hof method, where he trained with Wim really with the initial purpose of kind of debunking the method, and of course he became a huge advocate. The book was called What Doesn't Kill Us. So Scott has followed up with that book a few years later with this new book called The Wedge. It's being released on Monday, April 13th. The date I better remember is my wife's birthday, and it's coming up Monday. So again, I wanted to put something out there just as a recommendation because it can definitely help with our kind of mind-body connections as we find ways to put maybe additional tools in our arsenal of helping us deal with the coronavirus. And by that I mean what the wedge is all about is the Wim Hof method is three pillars: breathing, mindset, and cold exposure. And I've always, not always, but since I've become an instructor a little over a year and a half ago for Wim Hof, I really have come to believe that mindset is the most powerful and critical component of the method. Because without the right mindset, the cold exposure, the breathing, the impact they can have on you, as great as it is, would be minimized. And or at least it would be less than what it could be. You got to have the right mindset. You got to have not a belief, though that's certainly a big part of it, but a control. I have a control over my mind. I'm developing it every day. I'm working on it every day while I'm doing my breathing, of controlling and tapping into and accessing my subconscious mind. So as I read about the wedge, that's what I'm teaching. I'm teaching people about the wedge, how you can create that wedge between your mind and where your mind is and your environment or your response to that environment. And the bigger we can make that wedge, the better it's gonna help us. As Scott said, really life is about living experiences, having experiences, maximizing experiences, and having that right mindset can open up so many doors for us. I have a great example for me. Everybody who knows me has heard me talk about it, and I'll probably keep talking about it. I'm very proud of it. But I ran a marathon with my son Michael. I think it was about 5 weeks ago, last weekend in February, and it was not just a marathon. It was my first marathon, but it was a trail run. It was 3 or 4 miles getting to the foot of the trail, and then up 3,000 feet of elevation gain, then turn around and come back. So it was grueling and it was hard, but I knew going into that marathon that I would finish it, that I would complete it. That was my mindset. I used the wedge in hindsight. I was putting my mind in the right place to deal with the environment I knew I was going to find myself in. Of course, I wasn't anticipating the several inches of snow that fell the night before. The trail, for 90% of it, once we got on, was snow covered. The temperatures had dropped from the starting line of high 20s, 30 degrees, to the teens. The aid stations, the water, the igloos with water and Gatorade were frozen. Couldn't get anything out of them, so they had to take the giant 5-gallon containers of water and try to lift them up and break the ice around the opening and pour in what they could into our bottles. So it was a challenge, but I was prepared for it. I could have let so many things happen that day that would have just said, that's it, give me a ride back. I'm not gonna say I ran it fast, but I did complete it, and I ran it, and I absolutely used the wedge to help me do that. I'm using it now and every day I put a short video out there last week, 10 days ago, about dealing with anxiety and using our breath to help us do that. But we're also using our mindset to deal with the anxiety related to COVID-19. I mean, it can impact us in so many different ways, and we let the unknown work its way in there, and I just wedge it right out. I don't let it. I'm in the here and now, in the present moment, and deal with that, and that helps me significantly. So as I continue to teach my Wim Hof classes in the future, I'm certainly going to be talking about the wedge and when I talk about mindset, because I feel it is so important. So again, I'm just doing this recommendation now. The book is out on April 13th. I highly recommend it. I haven't even finished it yet, but I've read enough to know and understand what the wedge is. And Scott tells some great stories in there of he intentionally put himself in situations that required for him to have the right mindset to go with the situation he was putting himself into. But he's a great storyteller, because he would tell the stories in a way that personally I could relate to, and I could apply to my situation, to my life, and to help me better understand, not just understand the wedge, but understand how to apply it so I could benefit from it as well. So just want you to know, I don't know Scott. I've exchanged email with him. He doesn't know I'm doing this. There's nothing in it for me other than my passion in learning and teaching the Wim Hof method has been to help others with their health, with their future health. I always tell them, your future self is going to look back and thank you for taking this class, for understanding what you can, the mind-body connection. And it's really kind of starts you down that path. And the wedge is another tool to help you do that. And I think it's important enough right now, again, because of what we're dealing with COVID-19, to put this out there. So again, check it out on April 13th. It's called The Wedge by Scott Carney. I absolutely believe that you'll enjoy it and get a lot out of it. Thanks again, and this is Don Neder, and hope to talk to you or see you soon in a Wim Hof class. Thanks.